the equal rights for women. She also talked of how the Constitution is the identity of the country and it is the guiding line. The President also talked of how it ensures criminal justice for all, and in doing so, it ensures the safety of the citizens of the country. And she enlisted how the Constitution has in fact strengthened the economy, how it has strengthened the country, and it has also made strong the spirit of democracy in the country. It has strengthened the spirit of democracy in the country, ensuring safety and development of the citizens. So this was the gist of what the President said as she addressed the 76th anniversary of anniversary celebrations of the Constitution Day in the Central Hall of Parliament. And also the Prime Minister earlier had written a letter to the countrymen. The Prime Minister had in fact written and he paid his gratitude to the framers of the Constitution, and he also talked of how the Constitution is relevant in today's times as well. As we told you, 26th of November is celebrated as the Constitution Day or the Samvidhan Divas in the country. The Constitution of India was adopted in 1949, but it came into effect on 26th of January 1950. The Constitution upholds the justice, liberty, equality, fraternity, and in doing so, it protects the rights of the citizens as well. The Constitution also highlights the collective responsibility of the citizens towards the country and also to preserve the spirit of the Constitution as well. And in doing so, the Constitution instills enduring pride in the citizens. It is the document, in fact, that safeguards the democratic ethos of the country. So this was a gist of the Constitution Day, and also we saw the President lead the celebrations of the 76th anniversary of the Constitution Day in the country. At present, we are joined in by senior journalist Mr. Praful Ketkar. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on DD India in the special broadcast. When we talk of the Constitution Day, the President talked of how it has strengthened the country, so much so that today when we are targeting Atmanirbharta for the country, when we are targeting development, self-reliance for the country, to what extent the values of Constitution remain relevant in today's times, in 2025 that we are living in?
So, Preeti, please try and understand, India was not the only country that got independence in 1940s and 1950s. There were many countries. We have seen what is happening in our neighborhood.
Yes.
Pakistan has more than 7 to 8 constitutions. Bangladesh is trying to carve out its new constitution. Many African countries could not sustain or even create their new constitution. India is the sole example and sole exception where we have created, barring the dark period of emergency, we have ensured the peaceful transition through democratic means of power. That is a remarkable journey in last 76 years, and Constitution and constitutional spirit is the foundation that allowed us to do so. That also shows that, as Dr. Ambedkar rightly said, that the constitutional values and the democratic values we have borrowed from our ancient civilization. One important remark that he made while making his last speech in the Constituent Assembly, that we should remember that without fraternity there cannot be equality, liberty, and justice. So the sense of brotherhood, the way we have, as Honorable President rightly said, it was Sardar Patel who ensured the geographical unity and integrity of Bharat, while the Constitution ensured the civilizational and the legal unity and integrity of Bharat. It has become a source of national integration. It has become a source of our common and collective aspirations, which we can achieve through peaceful and democratic means.
All right, Prafulji, when we talk of the constitutional values, which is the value that remains the most relevant and important in today's times?
See, I personally believe that this unique idea that without fraternity, there cannot be liberty, equality, and justice, as Dr. Ambedkar. But along with that, there are two fundamental things we need to understand. One, our constitution gives not just the political freedom, not just the economic freedom, not just the social freedom, but freedom of conscience. Everybody has a right to have own way of worship. That is a unique Indian civilizational value that is reflected in the constitution. Ours is the constitution which doesn't talk just of individual liberty, but also of group rights. So individual rights are balanced with group rights. We have yesterday we celebrated the completion of Ram Temple in Ayodhya, and the third chapter of Indian Constitution, that is on fundamental rights, has a picture of the beginning of Ramarajya, the return of Ram, Lakshman, and Mata Sita to Ayodhya. That clearly shows our constitution makers had a clear idea of what they wanted to achieve through this constitution. They didn't see constitution as making of a new nation. They knew that we are an old civilization. They were providing a new state structure to the old civilization. So they had pictures of Gurukul, they had pictures of Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, they had pictures of Ashoka and Buddha and Kurukshetra and Bhagavad Gita. So all these things, the depiction of certain values, that continuity, that living civilization reincarnating in the modern state structure, that I feel is the most fundamental idea that our constitution cherished, and because of which it's sustained and shown its resilience. It is flexible enough to change with the time, and it is rigid sufficiently that it cannot be misused and manipulated with the power. That is the beauty of Indian Constitution.
All right, yes, very aptly you explained to us this, Prafulji. But when we talk of, you're talking of the values, in today's times, constitution literacy is also very important. How do the youth connect to these values, given the busy lives we are leading, given the geopolitical situation that is changing, and the world order, how it is changing today? The youth of the country, how do they connect to the constitution? Why is constitution literacy important in today's time?
Unfortunately, through education, it was really a great initiative that Honorable President led the reading of the preamble, and every parliamentarian followed her. That is another, innovative way. This institution of Samvidhan Divas, or the Constitution Day, is also an occasion. Unfortunately, what has happened over the period of time, while talking about the constitution, we generally talk only about rights, only about what society, what nation, what government, what state is going to give me as an individual. Against that, we never ask the question, what I am supposed to do for the society, for the nation, for the state, for the government, and largely for the humanity. If India has to play a role in the present global landscape, there are certain duties, that we need to follow. In fact, in India, rights and duties are complementary to each other and not exclusive to each other. If I have certain rights, it means I have certain duties. So, respect for our constitution, respect for our national flag, national anthem, these are the common things that we need to follow in our life. We should be law-abiding citizens, so that we should not take a law in hand and overstep on the constitutional values. We should talk about our rights, but while doing that, we should also ensure that the equality and fraternity are also important values, so that we can achieve justice. All these things are the values that need to be nurtured through education, And education, I'm not talking just about the literal education in schools and colleges. Of course, that is important. But even in our societal, cultural realm, we need to imbibe this cultural, the constitutional values, which are more based on, for example, now we talk a lot about present day about the federalism and the linguistic identity. Original constitution did not have. Today, fortunately, we have these constitution coming up in many other languages, the updated version, and Bodo and Kashmiri for the first time. That clearly shows our constitution makers believe that all Indian languages are national languages. For us, language is not a source of identity or conflict. So original constitution did not have the idea of linguistic identity of states. It came later after 1956. Simply because for us, language was never a source of conflict. Historically, we had many more languages. Now what we are seeing, many youth get attracted to this politicization of language or linguistic politics, and that has become a great threat to national unity and integrity, about which Dr. Ambedkar himself had warned. So I believe that the technology, for example, the technology has democratized the freedom of speech and expression. These platforms, the social media platforms, has given us avenues to express ourselves. But what kind of language we are using? Are we hurting each other's sentiments? Can we have certain kind of restraint? Can we have expect some kind of acceptance and tolerance to each other's criticism? That those values,
yes, so language should
very,
not
very
be a barrier
if we don't follow that in social media platforms.
All right, so language should not end up being a barrier. We'll continue our discussion, Prafulji, but at present, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has paid tribute to framers of our constitution on the occasion of the Constitution Day. In a social media post, he said, and I quote him, "Their vision and foresight continue to motivate us in our pursuit of building a Viksit Bharat. Our constitution gives utmost importance to human dignity, equality and liberty. While it empowers us with rights, it also reminds us of our duties as citizens, which we should always try to fulfill. These duties are the foundation of a strong democracy. Let us reiterate our commitment to strengthening constitutional values through our actions." Prime Minister Narendra Modi has written to the citizens of India on the occasion of Constitution Day, recalling the historic adoption of the Constitution in 1949 and underlining its enduring role in guiding the nation's progress. He noted that in 2015, the government declared 26th of November as the Constitution Day to honor this sacred document. Prime Minister highlighted how the Constitution has empowered individuals from humble backgrounds to serve the nation at the highest levels, sharing his own experiences of reverence towards Parliament and the Constitution. He recalled bowing at the steps of Parliament in 2014 and placing the Constitution on his forehead in 2019 as a mark of respect. He emphasized that the Constitution has given countless citizens the power to dream and the strength to realize those dreams. Paying tribute to members of the Constituent Assembly, the Prime Minister remembered Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar, and several distinguished women members whose vision enriched the Constitution. He reflected on milestones such as the Samvidhan Gaurav Yatra in Gujarat during the 60th anniversary of the Constitution and the special session of the Parliament and nationwide programs held to commemorate its 75th anniversary, which witnessed record public participation. Emphasizing that this year's Constitution Day is especially significant as it coincides with the 150th birth anniversaries of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel and Bhagwan Birsa Munda, the 150th anniversary of Vande Mataram, and the 350th martyrdom anniversary of Shri Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji. Prime Minister noted that these personalities and milestones remind us of the primacy of our duties as enshrined in Article 51A of the Constitution. He recalled Mahatma Gandhi's belief that rights flow from the performance of duties, stressing that fulfilling duties is the foundation of social and economic progress. Looking ahead, Prime Minister observed that 25 years have already passed since the beginning of this century, and in just over 2 decades, India will mark 100 years of freedom from colonial rule. In 2049, it will be a century since the Constitution was adopted. He underscored that the policies and decisions taken today will shape the lives of generations to come, and urged citizens to place their duties foremost in their minds as India moves towards the vision of a Viksit Bharat. Prime Minister stressed on the responsibility of strengthening democracy by exercising the right to vote, and suggested that schools and colleges celebrate Constitution Day by honouring the first-time voters turning 18. He expressed confidence that inspiring youth with responsibility and pride will strengthen democratic values and the nation's future. Concluding his letter, the Prime Minister called upon citizens to reaffirm their pledge to fulfill their duties as citizens of this great nation, thereby contributing meaningfully to building a developed and empowered India. All right, coming back to our guest, Mr. Praful Ketkar, organizer, is joining us, and he did spell out more insights. Continuing with our discussion, Prafulji, now Prime Minister in his letter has highlighted the contribution of the first-time voters, and he did talk of how instilling responsibility in the youth can help in the longer run for achieving self-reliance, development and Atmanirbharta for the country. To what extent do the voters, enforce or strengthen the spirit of democracy through the constitution in the country?
There are various levels of participation that takes place in a democracy. Lesser the apathy level, more vibrant is the democracy. But the apathy level is lesser only if you have confidence in the constitutional and democratic process. What we see today, you take president, in the picture you are showing, whether president, whether prime minister, whether vice president, whether speaker, all these key positions are the people, or hold by the people. They are coming from a very humble background. Most of them are, in fact, all of them are first generation politicians. They never had a privilege of, getting a very elite kind of education. Financially, they do not come from a very high strata of society, and still they have reached to this place. It gives the confidence to the youth, to the voter, that, okay, so my voting is meant to influence the system and the decision-making process for myself and people like me. So common people getting that kind of confidence about the constitution and constitutional democracy is one of the most important features for vibrant democracy. This picture clearly shows, I think barring Mr. Rahul Gandhi, nobody in that picture on the stage is coming from a very very political legacy or dynastic legacy. That clearly shows that our constitution has a firm foundation, and every common person in India can rise up to the highest level in the constitutional scheme of things. That is the strength, and that is the reason why connecting commoners is very, very important. And as you asked, voters feel connected with the entire democratic process. They feel voting as not just a right but their duty only if this confidence in the system, the democratic system, is instilled, and our constitution has successfully done that in the last 76 years.
All right, Prafulji, the President in her address also talked of criminal justice, and she talked of how the Constitution in its vision has ensured safety for all citizens. Given the way, given the present times which we are living in, to what extent do to the constitutional values find a balance between national security and individual liberty?
That is and that has been a very tricky question, Priti. In fact, the magazine that I edit, Organizer, that was the first magazine that faced the onslaught of the Constitution and the then government led by Nehru, even the Constitution was not fully functional, had imposed a sort of censorship. And one of the reasons was we were talking about the plight of Hindus and Sikhs in the then partitioned Pakistan. And one clause was added in Article 18 and 19, that is on reasonable restrictions on freedom. That is the freedom related to friendly relations with the countries. If your free speech is impacting friendly relations with the countries, then it would be considered as can be a ground for reasonable restriction. Now, since then, we have been debating this. I feel that we need to have a very, very fundamental understanding about it. National security and national interest should be paramount. Your individual liberty cannot be above it. But while talking about that, who is going to define that national interest? Who is going to define that national security? When to ask what kind of questions? If you are saying that there is a terror attack and you will give a coverage to the terrorist version, or you stand by Naxalites and Maoists who are fighting against the constitutional framework, or you will indirectly or directly help the Pak-sponsored terrorism, then that is not freedom, that is treachery. And that's why we should be very clear and categorical about this, that our constitution gives us freedom, but also put certain reasonable restrictions, and we all should abide by it. It doesn't mean that you cannot ask questions to the government. It doesn't mean that you cannot criticize the policies. It simply means your priorities and your preferences as per the time and the situation needs to be in tune with the national interest and national security. Present day, when we are seeing that there are attempts being made to nurture radicalism among the white collars, among doctors, among educated youth, and then use them against India, we should be more vigilant. We should be more particular that our freedom should not cross that line where, and remember, many a times in media houses, people like you and me always talk about, but this is about media freedom. Yes, there is a media freedom and there should be media freedom. But still, there are certain self-regulatory mechanisms that we should follow, which would not directly increase the national interest.
All right. So that was about the values of Constitution, which, if followed and if we abide by, will lead to development of the country. But then a very short, crisp answer I want from you. Are there any challenges that surround these values of constitutions in the future, in the near future, in the coming few years?
No, there have been many challenges. There are challenges from external agencies. There are many challenges from non-state actors. There is a challenge of radicalism and growing religious fundamentalism. There are ideas related to the revolutionary, violent means of bringing some sort of equality in the name of Naxalism, Maoism. That is also a challenge, ideological challenge to the constitution. Maoists are losing ground in jungles, but their ideas still prevail in universities and educational institutions. The dynastic politics itself is a challenge to democracy and constitutional means. So all these are challenges, and that's why, though our constitution has survived, strengthened, and shown resilience in last 76 years, we should remain vigilant. Most of the people carry democratic values. It is in tune with the Indian ethos, and the soul of the Indian constitution is basically Indian. We need to preserve it. We need to
Right.
nurture it. We should abide by it.
Right. On that note, we'll end this discussion here. Thank you so much, Prafulji, for joining us and sharing your insights on the Constitution Day celebrations today. So that was our guest, Shri Praful Ketkarji, joining us and sharing his insights on the relevance of Constitution today and how abiding by it will help in further strengthening of India as a nation, which will further help in development and ushering in Atmanirbharta, self-reliance for the country on its way to becoming the third largest economy of the world. And also, on the occasion of Constitution Day, sand artist Sudarshan Patnaik has created a sand art with the message, Happy Constitution Day at Puri Beach, Odisha, celebrating the essence of our democracy. He wished that all citizens of the country may remain committed to uphold the values enshrined in the sacred constitution. All right, so that brings us to the end of this special edition celebrating the Constitution Day. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.